안녕하세요. 진짜들의 클래스. 안녕하세요. 진짜들의 클래스 진짜 Flutist Philipp Jundt가입니다. 이번에 소개해드릴 곡은 Prokofiev의 Sonata D major입니다. 4악장. Prokofiev was a Russian composer, born in Russia and then moved to Paris and returned to Russia just about before the Second World War. In that time, the Communist Party in Russia heavily controlled all kinds of arts. Composers were not supposed to write too modern, they were supposed to write quite classical. And just like Shostakovich, Prokofiev had an ambivalent relationship with the Communist Party, whether his music was really developed in this way because he wanted to be nice to the party or because it was just because of artistic reason, we don't know. At the end of his life, his music became much more classical and simple. And actually that was after Second World War, exactly at the time when politics controlled the arts more. So we could argue today that maybe it was because he wanted to be nice to the party. On the other hand, I think he also realized that the audience likes his pieces more, or it sells better if he writes easily. Or maybe he had the artistic urge, he actually called it the new simplicity. So he wrote more simple music. Most flutists I ever met believe strongly that this piece is all about war, because it has been written during the war. I am quite convinced that it is in fact really the opposite. I see a lot of Russian fairy tales, ballet music, classicism by Joseph Haydn and musical lines by Chopin in this piece. When I was a kid, my father told us a lot of fairy tales, Russian fairy tales too, because my grandmother was actually from Odessa, and he used to make these voices to describe the different characters. And for me that was quite interesting that the Russian fairy tales, they are very multi-layered. For example, the bad person, the witch, the Baba Yaga, who lives on a chicken leg house, she's not only bad, she's also good. So if someone comes and asks for her help, she will give that help. Just as the good people, they also have dark characters. In German fairy tales, for example, it's just black and white. And I think in this Prokofiev Sonata there's a lot of fairy tales, a lot of different characters. So the piece starts in a bright, dominant character. Which gives quite a hopeful atmosphere. But the piano at the same time plays. So the piano has a completely dark and different tonality at the same time, showing these two characters, one bright in the flute, one dark in the piano. Or the second page, which flute players tend to play like the army marching in. It's actually not a second new theme, it's exactly the same theme like at the beginning. It's basically so it's just another color of the theme which we heard at the beginning. Or the famous place which many flute players think it's the airplanes which drop bombs. I have never seen bombs flying up to the heaven, they usually come down from the heaven. Or in the second movement, this is really like gypsy music, Russian violin gypsy music. The third movement, we even have something like this. There's a story that Prokofiev actually used to like some kind of light drugs. What? And this one could really imagine is this kind of cloud of a drug. So I really don't see any connection with war of this piece. This piece for me is a piece of fairy tale, a piece of dancing, of ballet music. The final movement, the fourth movement, Allegro con brio, brings to life the imaginations of Prokofiev, the ballet composer. Its themes are undeniably, for me, dance-like in character, at times even fanciful, at other times vigorous. This movement is really a lot of moments with pathos. It touches humor, and it's also quite fancy at times. So in my opinion, it should not at all be played again like an army invasion, but like a fancy ballet dance with explosions.